Hello and welcome to What the Tech from Boast AI, where we talk to some of the brilliant minds behind new and exciting tech initiatives to learn what it takes to tackle technological uncertainty and eventually change the world. Today, I'm thrilled to chat with our friend and partner, Ekin Ober, co-founder and CEO of myConverso. Ekin and her team have created an AI-powered assistant for enhancing workplace productivity. With their solution, professionals can enhance their communication skills through lifelike simulations, personalized training, and actionable insights, leveraging myConverso's cutting-edge generative AI technology to provide an immersive and transformative learning experience. Along with developing an incredibly powerful solution, Ekin and her team are also amazing partners in the Toronto and Canadian tech ecosystem, who we get to say hi to in person recently during our visit to Collision Conference at Boast's Get Shredded Berries Bootcamp event. I'll leave it to Ekin to comment about how we all fared during our workout and to dive deeper into the innovation driving the team over at myConverso. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Ekin.
Hi, Paul. It's great being here. Great seeing you. And I love that you brought up Get Shredded event at Berries. I honestly became addicted. So I don't know if you've been to Berries. I don't know if it's in Boston. Is there one in Boston or?
There was one in Boston, and it was actually funny. I was talking with some of the other participants there, and they were comparing the energy levels of Toronto versus Boston versus Sydney, where they have Berries Bootcamp. I think Boston is a very distant third in that ranking in terms of what we bring to it. But oh man, I loved that, mostly just because it was a huge change of pace from the very drinking heavy events that you have during those.
Yes. There were a lot of, I think, kind of similar events that involved drinking, dinner, and it was in the similar environment. So I think it was a great break from all of that, all of the great discussions that we've had, panels. But it was honestly, it was a great break in the conference. It was on a Wednesday or Tuesday, right?
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't expecting it, but it gave me an energy boost that I really needed to get through the next day of the conference. I thought I would be on the floor after we did our workout, just because I think half of us expected it to be a spin class and it was a full-on boot camp. But I was moving and shaking when we got to Collision Conference later in the day. I thought I'd be out of it, but the energy was moving. So I'm going to recommend that for all of our upcoming conference attendees.
I completely agree. Yeah, you can definitely put my name on the list of those who were pro Berries Bootcamp.
Oh, I love it, Ekin. Yeah. And of course, I was very happy to meet you and Mallory from the myConverso team there. We did get a nice testimonial from Mallory. And now I'm very happy to have you in the hot seat to chat with me on the podcast.
I'm very happy to be here. Yeah. Thank you so much for, being here. It's really nice speaking with you again. I'm excited to kick off the conversation.
Lovely. So without further ado, I'd love to learn a bit more about your background, Ekin. I guess I know you're based in Toronto, but what brought you there? What's your passion? And just tell me how you got into the startup scene in general here.
Yes, of course. So I have a very traditional background, actually. By that, I mean, I was an investment banker and a lawyer. I think it's interesting to be in that environment. It's great. It's very, fast paced. There are a lot of high stake conversations that go on, but also a lot of administrative tasks that really fueled the initiation, the launch of myConverso, especially, with generative AI coming in. We figured out that this was a great opportunity for us to launch a company to help people like us who are drowning in admin work, whether they are in financial institutions, whether they are in sales. It was really a great start to that. I think startups like those, like investment banks and law firms, it is high energy in a different way. It's definitely long hours, but it's a lot of passion involved in building a startup. So we're definitely passionate about productivity, and we want to help professionals and organizations become more productive, streamline their work, and again, focus on the valuable aspects of their work, which is, the core, the knowledge aspect of it, and where they bring in that added value rather than, drafting pitch decks and drafting reports and doing more of that admin work.
Yeah, that is so important. Actually, I know that you mentioned other verticals, but even in marketing, I saw such an immediate use case for how myConverso could help me out. As you know, we're a pretty scrappy marketing team over here. Yes. We're producing this podcast in-house. We're doing all of our marketing in-house. And when Mallory was just giving me the rundown of some of the capabilities, and I took your beta survey, it would make my life a lot easier in just coordinating a lot of the stuff here. So that was just very proof in action. I can vouch.
Yeah, that's honestly awesome to hear because we actually got to know about Boast through LinkedIn posts and your marketing activities. But I can only imagine how much time it involves to draft those posts, being able to prepare for a podcast even. So it's definitely a lot of heavy lifting there, and it's more of the admin work, right? Rather than the part that really engages you, which is connecting with people and making sure that you're getting in front of a lot of founders, talking about Boast, understanding their business. So I think there's a lot of value in marketing and kind of putting that automation, a little bit of that automation to that admin work aspect of it to streamline the process.
For sure. And I think it speaks very closely to some of the biggest pain points that startups in general feel. I mean, a lot of that admin work can be a huge time suck. It's not the same one-to-one of the service that we offer here at Boast, but the mission is similar in that we want those startups and those founders and those dreamers and entrepreneurs with big ideas to focus on getting those ideas off the ground. Let's take some of the timely admin work off their plates. Yeah. Let's get all the busy stuff that really they shouldn't be bogged down in out of the equation so that they can work on the important stuff.
Absolutely. And especially, as a co-founder and CEO, I'm sure that a lot of the co-founders and CEOs of startups experience the same overwhelming schedules. Like we really need to focus on multiple different aspects of the business, and accounting usually falls under that, like finances, accounting. Those are really roles that you can't delegate unless you have an outside accountant and so on. So it becomes really challenging for us to, understand the eligibility requirements. What do we do with our complex structures? So Bo's coming in and doing the heavy lifting there and, explaining to us what are the eligibility requirements are, how does it fit within the structure that we have, which is pretty complex, and maximizing the tax credits is so important. It's kind of like, we spend a lot of time in fundraising, but we are not exploring, if we're not exploring opportunities like the tax credits and maximizing that value, you're really leaving money on the table. So definitely Boast has provided an incredible value to us.
That's awesome. We love to hear it. And again, that's why we're so excited that you're a partner of ours and that we're able to help you, because we're all helping businesses do more and we're helping them do it better. So I know you had mentioned the generative AI of it all. Tell us a little bit more about the actual unique innovation that myConverso is bringing to the table, some of the R&D focus of what you've done, and just more about myConverso and what's on the roadmap.
Sure. We actually, so we mentioned generative AI. That means that we are using large language models. And what we're very focused on is fine-tuning those models to achieve accurate and reliable outcomes, which is very difficult, especially if you've used ChatGPT and you experience firsthand the hallucinations that it has. There's inaccurate information. So for example, one of the recent cases actually, I believe a lawyer used ChatGPT in a litigation, and it was interesting to see how the court really handled that, because there were a lot of made up cases that was produced by ChatGPT, which is part of the hallucination. So it's very difficult to prompt engineer around that. If you don't really have the expertise, it becomes really difficult for you to get that accurate data and information. So we're very focused on, again, fine tuning. And we use real world data, which really makes us unique because, we have those two solutions. One of them is very much focused on meeting preparation and emails, but the other one is focused on relieving that administrative workflow that a lot of organizations are in a way drowning in, right? So in a way, being able to get that proprietary data that the organizations have, feeding it into the model and producing those accurate and reliable outcomes like your pitch decks, like your reports, ESG reports, sustainability reports, and being able to use this bot, this solution as your assistant who's been with the company for many years since its inception. It's pretty powerful. But again, it really needs to be developed and built properly. It definitely needs to be handled with care. So that's our innovation and the unique aspect of the platform.
Absolutely. We were having a conversation actually with individual who works at Volta, which is an accelerator based out of Halifax, actually. And they were talking about how, yeah, AI is everywhere. You're seeing it applied to everything, at least in name. And the dangers of generative AI are they're pretty much in the headlines. Folks are aware of that, but there is some very, very, very material value coming out of that in the startup space with folks like you guys who are making some very specific use cases for the generative AI model. Like you said, making it so that that is your assistant that has the specific background of your company from the past few years. It's not a stranger who's hallucinating when they're trying to get things done for you.
Yeah. Exactly. You got it.
Yeah. And so now I know we did talk about Boast a little bit already, but I'd love to know again, how did you hear about Boast? I guess, how did you hear about R&D tax credits in SRED in general?
Honestly, R&D tax credits, we learned about through Boast's LinkedIn posts, if you can believe that. So I have lots of friends who are, founders. There are some friends in San Francisco. Everyone was following Boast. So when that happens, obviously you get some of the posts that they share. And I learned about tax credits through the post, but I didn't know much about Boast specifically. So, I understand what R&D tax credits were, but then I think the moment that I first really understood what Boast was doing was during an event here in Toronto. It was called Elevate Festival. So that was last year, October, I believe. And one of the Boast representatives and I started chatting and, he takes a very personalized approach. He explained things to me very clearly. And I thought I understood exactly what SRED requirements were, and he explained it better. So I really got a good understanding, loved his approach. He introduced me to the team. He connected me with some other founders here in Toronto, and it just felt really right. So then we had follow-on conversations, obviously, and I got to know the team a lot more, their expertise and how they handle, of course, the SRED aspect of things, but also the client relationships, which was really important to us.
That's extremely important to us as well. I say it on all of these podcasts, but it's so many of our teammates here at Boast are founders in their own right. They started their own companies. They know what it takes to actually capitalize on SRED and actually communicate the R&D that you're doing in terms that the CRA can understand. Because I feel like that's one of the biggest hurdles. Like, sure, you can tie your payroll to this person's working on this development, or this is some outsourcing we did. It's much more than that. You really need to communicate that technological advancement, that systematic investigation. Happy to know that we found our sweet spot and that we were able to really help you guys out. And again, give that founder white glove service that I think is very unique about what we do here at Boast.
Absolutely. And I completely agree.
Nice. Now, I'd love to know, without prying too much, we don't have to get into hard figures, but what are you doing with that money that you guys are getting back? Obviously, I assume funneling it into more R&D or your product runway, but tell me about that and also just what's on the roadmap from myConverso.
Absolutely. So we're actually still going through the process of SRED credits. As I mentioned, the structure that we had was very, very complex. So it was really great, obviously, to work with experts in that area, really guided us through with neat spreadsheets and everything. So we're still through the process, but we definitely have a clear use of proceeds from the tax credits that we will get, which, as you mentioned, is going to go a lot into R&D. So that's, improving our models, running different versions of the models, especially as new models come up. For example, Llama 2 is one of the models that just became available. So it's really important for us to stay up to date. There is no clear winner right now. Obviously, OpenAI is very, very advanced. So it's fantastic to use OpenAI for that, but it requires a different system. It's not necessarily a fine-tuned large language model that we can have in-house. So that's why it's really important for us to, again, stay up to date and be able to use funds to fine-tune more models as they come up. And also, as you mentioned, marketing is not necessarily within our service industry right now, but we definitely want the services and the solution to service marketing professionals. So it it would be great to expand our services to other industries. So that requires, again, a lot of investment in prompt engineering, expertise there, and being able to fine tune the model with that in mind. So again, a lot of those tax credits are going to go into R&D and expanding services to new industries.
That's fantastic. And to your point too, there's no clear winner right now in the AI game. Sure, everybody knows about ChatGPT. OpenAI is getting all the headlines, but it's happening so quickly. And so you need that money so you can keep pace, keep up to date, not lose track, especially with so many others, again, in the crowded AI space, making that unique value add. It's not easy. It does take funding, but I know you guys have the brain power to do it. And it sounds like you guys have good partners in place to help get it done as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have the right team for our current industries, especially when it comes to financial institutions, sales, recruitment. They're definitely our bread and butter, our sweet spot.
I love it. All right. Now, a couple kind of off-script questions before I let you go. I'd love to know, what's your take on the current state of startups as a founder? What are kind of the biggest challenges you think that new founders are facing today, or just what would you recommend anyone entering the startup scene right now in 2023 be aware of?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Collision had great speakers who touched on, both the startup environment from a fundraising perspective, as well as, building a business. I think one of the most important things, regardless of the year, is going to be your co-founder, who you want to be in a relationship with. Obviously, you're building a company and it takes years, months, hard work, and really setting the team is super important. The second aspect of building a business, obviously, you're going to have advisors and investors. I think choosing your investors and advisors wisely and looking at that as a relationship that's going to be long-term is really important when you're choosing, funding right now. It is difficult for a lot of startups, but there are accelerator programs as well as, opportunities like the ones that you're offering from Quick Fund to SREDed, which makes things a lot easier for startups. So definitely knowing not only the VCs to raise funds from, but also other opportunities, and working with partners like Boast to maximize those tax credits and the cash that you can get to build your business and put it into R&D. It's really important. So I think just keep being motivated, work towards your passion, understand your market really well, build a good team, and build strong partnerships that are going to be long-term are all important aspects of building a business. So I know that's a lot.
No, I love it. Yeah. Honestly, like when you mentioned the non-dilutive funding and the SREDed and tapping into Quick Fund, again, I echo that just by nature of where I'm sitting here at Boast. It's so critical, especially when you're at that pre-revenue stage, when you're just exploring your MVP, when you're doing all of that. Take advantage of all the non-dilutive funding that's out there, especially if you're in Canada. There is so much on the table. It's there for the taking. Canada wants to give it to you. If you need help, Boast is here to get you there. But my favorite point that you made was about your co-founders and about having the right team around you. Again, Ekin, I met you in Mallory. I'm so impressed at what you guys are doing. Just even when you're a two-hander on the floor at Collision, that was so impressive. So I think you have a great team in place right now to succeed. myConverso is going to go to great places, but I'm so excited to see what you guys have coming up for the next couple of years as well.
Thank you so much, Paul. Honestly, I think the team is fantastic here. We definitely focused on that, and meeting Boast members too was so nice. Honestly, we met so many people, and I've been seeing your newsletters, I've been seeing your podcast, and it was so nice to actually meet you in person. So honestly, those events and meeting teams, I think, really give you an understanding of what type of a company you are. And it was honestly great meeting you guys too.
That is music to my ears, Ekin. It was so great meeting you. I can't wait to meet you again in person. I'm in Toronto. But again, this was fantastic. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Paul. Appreciate your time, and good luck to everyone who is, doing the hard work and building a company that's going to provide that value. I'm really excited to see companies succeed in general. So
I love it. Thank you so much, Ekin. And thank you, listeners, for joining us. Please subscribe to What the Tech from Boast AI wherever you get your podcasts.